Canadian journalist Daniel Baudemont called Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's recent statement acknowledging that the evidence is intelligence-based rather than concrete on the Khalistan issue as a major win for the Indian narrative. Baudemont said, "This is a pretty big win for the Indian narrative right now. From the Canadian perspective, we had gone pretty hard. We had gone to the point where we had kicked out a diplomat. We had named the Indian High Commission. We started this publicly." The Canadian journalist further pointed out that the diplomatic spat between India and Canada centers around whether Hardeep Singh Nijjar a Khalistani terrorist or a community activist.
Trudeau can be a maddening task at times to figure out why he's done what he's done here. There is no logical explanation. There's no reasonable explanation. There's no good foreign policy explanation. But this is par for the course of Canadian foreign policy since 2015. So if you want to have some Canadian context about what's going on and why he may have done this, here's what I think is maybe the leading theory we can say as to why Trudeau has started to fight with India. You know, in Canada, we have this big specter of foreign interference from China. That's the major scandal right now. It's Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party was getting help from the CCP at different points in elections. And how much did they know? How much did they not know? There was a kidnapped 2 diplomats, the 2 Michaels, and how were there Liberals doing back channel deals with the CCP to help keep them in jail? It's a whole big thing that we need an investigation into. So in order to shift the spectre from Chinese foreign interference, we have a story in Canada, which is essentially a story about Pakistani foreign interference being framed as a story of Indian foreign interference to cover up the real story, which is Chinese interference. This is the context. So what Trudeau gets in a win, right? Trudeau's big win over the last 24 hours prior to the visas being suspended was no one was really talking about China. And instead of that, we were talking about this, and he got the media to pretty much take his side because every major news outlet in Canada is in some way funded by the Liberal Party now. The government has given them billions of dollars. They need the government subsidies to survive. So there's an element of sort of control they can have on the media narrative. So they're able to spin it, and they're able to say that people who are criticizing Trudeau, the Conservatives, are actually not in favor of fighting interference. It's the Liberals that are fighting interference. See, they kicked out a diplomat because there was a big thing. They wouldn't kick out a Chinese diplomat. We had evidence he was threatening the family of a sitting MP. He wouldn't kick that diplomat out for over a week. We had to force him to kick him out. So now he's kicking out a diplomat willy-nilly to sort of muddy the waters and gaslight the country to say, look, I'm so strong on foreign interference. I kicked out a diplomat, and now the people who are criticizing me, they're not strong on foreign interference. So it's sort of a conflation of a lot of Canadian foreign policy issues have been jumbled up by the Liberals in the media internally in Canada and sold out to Canadians. So that was Trudeau's big win, you could say, was instead of making it about Chinese foreign interference, he made it about his personal fight with India. But again, this is blown up in his face because it's not like the Indian government was just going to sit there and do nothing. They actually pushed back against Trudeau, and now he's dealing with the consequences. It's 9 a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time here, so Canada's sort of just waking up. The major news outlets are cranking this story out, and this is a story that's gonna upset a lot of Canadians. A lot of Canadians are going to be very upset about what has happened.